It's all about the Health and Healing Hub experience each and every Saturday on your favorite station between the hours of 2 and 4. ContrastRadio.net.
Collective, welcome to the Health and Healing Hub experience. Once again, have you got yourself a drink? Come inside, shut the door, and let's spend some time together. I'm sending greetings of Grand Rising. Good afternoon, good evening. Wonderful to have your company here again. Now, this week you're listening to myself, Funmilola, and my co-host, the fantabulous Miss T and the Radical Love, and our guest, the wonderful brother Umar. Ladies and gents, the conversation that we're going to delve into right now is called Creating a New Earth. What is your role? And so I took some notes. I did a little research today, and apparently 85% of plastic waste in the oceans originate from just 20 countries, most of which are in the West, which leads obviously to pollution and biodiversity loss, further aggravating climate change. Countries in Africa, the Pacific Islands and other vulnerable regions experience the brunt of climate crisis, droughts, floods, biodiversity loss, yet contribute the least to the problem. And then you have the indigenous communities. They have been the earth stewards practicing sustainability for centuries. And their knowledge is vital for conserving resources and living in harmony with nature. Now, the economist Fadhel Kaboub, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but I thought he was amazing how he broke down the way the West has kept Africa in external debt. And it does this so that it can't focus on development and prosperity in health, healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The debt is the result of colonization and includes food deficit, energy deficit, and manufacturing deficit. So what he did is he broke down these deficits, and I've made a note. Briefly, very briefly, food deficit. So basically at the moment, Africa is importing 85% of its food. 85% importing when less than 100 years ago, it was the bread basket for the West. Yeah? And because of this, they introduced the Common Agricultural Policy. This is so that basically they produce the most common crops so that they dominate the grain industry, and this forced the African farmers out of business because obviously they couldn't compete with the subsidized grain, the cost of that. And then they had to start, what happened is they started to specialize in exporting crops like teas, tobacco, bananas. So basically, in a nutshell, what they consume, they don't produce, and what they produce, they do not consume, which results in food insecurity. Then there's energy deficit. So, for example, Nigeria, the continent's biggest oil exporter, imports 100% of its gasoline. How does that even make sense? Angola, the continent's second largest exporter of oil, imports 80% of its fuel from international markets. So they're basically denied the technology for production, drilling, refining, so that they export crude oil and import refined petrochemicals. So basically, in a nutshell, they export the cheap stuff and they import the expensive stuff. So there's always a deficit. So when it comes to trade, structural trade deficit weakens African currencies relative to the pound, the dollar, the euro, so that if you import now, it will be at a higher price, and inflation will hurt the most vulnerable people in society, and that forces the government into like a defensive position to try to protect them. So what they do is then they subsidize fuel cost, food costs, which you can't do for decades. And then they will also ask the banks to stabilize the exchange rate to fight inflation. And they do that by just borrowing more dollars or currency, which promotes the external debt into something that's unsustainable. So you get a vicious cycle, because you can't focus on economic activity, which is the foundation of development,
building it up,
prosperity. All you're doing is focusing on trying to pay off your debt, which you can never do. You see, and this is just Africa, let alone all the the rest of the world. My current role is just as a healer. So I'm in the process of testing out how I do it. I may have more roles, or my role might change as time goes on. But at the moment, I'm a sound healer, percussionist, I'm a facilitator, I'm a host, an organizer, a teacher, and a student.
I mean, just off the back of what you were saying, and in 2020, the Environment Agency reported that 0% of the rivers, the lakes, or the other, water surfaces in England met the government's good chemical standards, and that indicates what? Widespread pollution. It's largely attributed to the agricultural runoff, like the sewage discharge. Remember, they dump sewage in the water. Who's in the water? The fish and whatever what you call it, crustaceans, whatever that people eat in the restaurant, that kind of stuff.
Of course.
Do you understand where I'm coming from? See, I said it again. Anyway,
only once. Only one so far.
So far, and counting.
That was good.
So, and in 2016, about 16% of the water bodies had met those standards. By 2020. So the chemical standards were tightened. They've been revealing more, extensive pollution that's previously recorded. But bear in mind, what water are we drinking? And you touched on China earlier when you were speaking. Right? Bear in mind, China is one of the largest producers of grain in the world. And as recent data, China produces the most wheat, rice, corn combined, which are the primary grain crops, and that's globally. You see how they maybe infiltrating is the wrong word, but each country, the country's large agricultural output is due to its vast arable land and advanced farming techniques. So in particular, China, they're the top producer of rice, and other significant grain producers like India, United States, Russia, Brazil, and that's depending on the specific type of grain. And you also mentioned Nigeria, and who would have thought? Remember, Nigeria, despite being one of the world's largest oil producers, they import the majority of its refined petroleum products due to lack of sufficient refining capacity.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I totally hear what you're coming from. What was I going to say? The country exports crude oil, but they rely on their foreign refineries for refined petroleum and products, because most of its domestic refineries are either non-operational or running way below capacity. Nigeria. Anyway, but going back to my role, again, I would go with healing, and that would be personal, spiritually. That's my purpose. My purpose, my role is to empower people to become more spiritual and more in tune with their being. That's my role. That's what I would say, because there's a lot of things going on that way. I mean, unless you're in that particular industry, that particular, you only get to hear the scaremongery stories, those kind of things. Do you understand what I mean? But if you're research, knowledge is power. As we get older, we start to understand more, digest it better, and become more spiritually in tune with yourself. So yeah, I'd side with Lola on the healing aspect of my role.
I was thinking about the planet and the difference between, from my perspective, the planet and the Earth. Sorry, not the planet and the Earth. The planet and the world. And that, yes, so much wickedness and carelessness has been done to the planet Earth because of the world that has been made by the powers that be. So over centuries and centuries of taking away from the Earth and building a world that doesn't respect the Earth, and therefore how we live on the Earth. I see the planet, I see the new planet coming when we have built or start to build a new world of men, women and children that have a better connection and reality of nature, so that when the Earth has to naturally replenish itself by its nature, by the Creator's pattern of doing things, the people in the world, in the new world, will be able to do it correctly. And I think at the moment we're going through that learning span at the moment. I don't know when it's going to get to a point of clearness, but I believe, I keep reminding myself that it's the world, which is a age old, or shall I say, because it has been developing for so long. That's why the definition of the world is there, because it's man-made. And they've done things to the Earth, and we have all contributed in some way, but we've lived in a system that is very colonial, and they have managed to own and create their own world, which has obviously, as you both have said, impacts on the way the Earth operates. It interrupts its natural cycle, which then must combust to correct itself again, because like gadgets, when you kind of mess it up and it just goes back to its normal size again. Them toys that they have, it's kind of similar to that, but I think the nature of the Earth will just automatically spring back to it. When I say spring, will move back to its original state. And the people on the Earth are the ones who have to now contend with that and contend with the consequences of that. And that's what we're going through right now with the percentages and the things that you highlight. I was also thinking about when Lola was talking about the indigenous in Africa, and how, yes, there in that state, and the Caribbean state as well is in the same, because then we're not affecting this climate change that is being taught. It's not us, and we're having to suffer the consequences of the things that the powers that be have done and doing at the same time, and not compensating or helping the people in Africa or other states, Brazil, the Caribbean, etc. But what I was thinking about as well is that they're still going, though, to the indigenous land of Africa to take again the knowledge of the people that are there to rebuild. It's quite toxic. It's quite a toxic relationship, quite narcissistic, as people like to say these days, where you go in and say, oh, we're going to mess this system up, take what we want, and then when we mess up with it, we're going to come back and take some more. And while we're taking some more, so we can come back and do more with it and make it look like we're helping the planet, we're going to put you in debt as well, because you can't rise up, can't possibly do that. It's a very sick psychosis, really, bit of treatment to the planet and the people. It's a very egotistical, it's worse than that, way of living. That is, but I think it's deliberately there. This is my last point. I think it's deliberately there from the Creator for us to see as human beings, that we may therefore learn. And those of us that do learn and want to do better, whether it be generation after generation, will eventually be on the planet and create and procreate on the planet. And those who want those riches so badly, those who want sexism, those who want racism, all those impediments will die along with the earth replenishing itself. So I think on it as about the world that we live in and how it's been created, and it's got to a point now where it's going to combust because it can't no longer function like that. So I think it's interesting that when we were talking about healing or listening to healing, that the planet appears to be towards healing itself, because naturists will go out and say that they're helping the trees, they're clearing up the this and that, which is a good thing, but it's not the nature that's the problem. It's the being, the human being, that's the problem. So even if we went and cleaned up, we still have the human beings messing it up anyway. So but a tree will always be a tree. A tree will always say, okay, you chop me down, I'm going to grow the same pattern that I have. It's us that it's a pattern. So my point is that people go and say they're going to help nature. Nature's cool. Nature's looking at us to say, look, you need to stop doing what you're doing because I can't do what I naturally do. So I think those are the points that raised up for me when you was talking, that nature has a way of healing itself, and we're having to heal ourselves because of these consequences of our relationship with each other and the planet Earth, that comes up that we've been dealing with in this world. It's terrible. And in one level, I can't wait until the world falls, a new one can come up. And at the same time, I can, because it's getting worse. There's a lot going on that the world, that the planet Earth needs to. It's like she's pregnant right now with a new child. She's pregnant with a new child, and there's going to be a big labour of birth. And boy, that's weather, mashing up, all kinds of things going on until we can get back to normal again. I guess I won't be alive at that point. But certainly from a healing perspective, it's contributing ecologically in terms of what can I do between. And when you spoke about your work, it's like that. What we do is that combination between people and how we relate to place and how we design how we're living, so that we're in alignment with nature. But I've said much now, but I'm very passionate about this subject.
It's a good passion. It's a good passion. It's a good passion. When you think about us all, we're here, parents, maybe even grandparents. The reality is, it's supposed to be the adults offering some hope to the children. And you can see the respect or lack of it that's being given to the planet, because now, I might have mentioned it in the last conversation, but I've definitely been inspired by this evening's topic, that look at the disrespect now. You want to go out of this planet to far and beyond, and seriously be talking about colonizing, because that's what they're going to do. The moon, the Mars, the whatever. And you think, look at that arrogance. Same old story. Same old mindset. Such arrogance. You think the great civilization of the past, you think they didn't know what was out there already as well. Didn't they not navigate the stars as well? But did they feel the need to go beyond where you're supposed to go beyond, and think that you're supposed to be out there? No, they didn't. And if they did, they perished. So you're really saying this world, this earth, really, is not enough for you. I mean, if that isn't the height of arrogance, I don't know what is, because everything you have comes from this earth. Everything humans need
it's on this earth. That's right.
is on this earth. Even the things, the resources you build to advance your technology, where do you get it from? You're chatting about, solar, we need to invest in wind. So the oil wasn't enough. Went into the earth, into the core, extracted what you extract. Now you're saying, now we need to find alternative energies. And what are those alternative energies you're talking about? Everything on this earth. So when you're sitting in your space station looking down, don't you wonder where you should really be looking after? But that's the arrogance, isn't it? So what can you say? Just hope that, as I said, we are the adults who have to say, yeah, we're here to do our best to protect and respect this earth, because if you don't, you will always be the loser.
That's right.
I like how you said we're the adults, because when you look at the chain in terms of humanity, these people that are doing what they're doing, they're the babies. They're the babies. And they disrespect their parents.
Every time.
This is total disrespect.
Of course it is.
And when the parent, there can come time when the parent, when they're really fed up of you, even though you're the child, you're going to get a beating.
You're going to get it.
Of course you are.
Get it.
Arrogance, man. It frightens me.
It does, because you know what? Look at what they are doing to the earth. When Mother Nature's ready, nothing can stop her in her path.
God.
And I mean, nothing can stop her in her path. What they deal with afterwards is the devastation.
Of course it
And just
is.
but going off the back of what you and Lola were talking about, funny enough, this is last night. There was a thing on TV. It was on Channel 4, and it was to do with the scientists discovering planets called ecoplanets. Yeah. And they are orbiting the stars outside of our solar system. So they're looking for environments or ecosystems as they call it, similar to Earth. Yes. And although the program was interesting, because looking at the solar system and beyond and blah blah blah, all I kept thinking all the way through the program was what you were saying, Umar, that arrogance. You mash up this Earth. Yes. You're not looking to fix this Earth, but you're going to find a next Earth, and you're really and truly you're going to go mash that one up too.
Same behaviour.
Because all they were again, it was a very interesting documentary about the Earth and the ecosystems and their ecoplanets and what they're finding, and they're looking at they were saying, on the warmer side of the water, you've got many ecoplanets that are located on what scientists are calling the habitable zone, or the Goldilocks zone, as they like to call it as well. And this is where the temperature is just right for liquid water to exist. Yeah. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. And then they're looking at the atmosphere. So these people are looking, and I'm like, you're going to go and mash up the place just like you did over here. I say over here, on Earth. Do you understand where I'm coming from? They're not looking to do things that they know if they did, it would, I suppose, give a few more years back to the Earth rather than continuously mashing it up. But no, you're looking to go and invade another planet and take it, because they have this planet they were talking about, because of the temperature and atmosphere and blah blah blah. We get normal rain that comes from our sky, but on this particular planet, it rains rubies.
It rained what?
Rubies. Rubies.
Wow.
Rubies. Yeah. And they just, like I said, it was interesting, but it just made me feel that they are not just going to see whether, there's another Earth out there and you can live on it and blah, blah, blah. They're going to see what they can that planet.
Yeah.
Who's to say there isn't life on other planets, but the life is adapted to that particular planet's environment? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like we're adapted to this Earth. On certain planets that the wind is 1,000 times faster than what it is on this Earth, or it's 1,000 times hotter. But who's to say there isn't life that has adapted to that particular planet? What are you going there for?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's true.
Fix the one that you're on. Fix the one that you're on.
It's true.
Yes.
You same attitude.
You reminded me of there was a time when I was looking at all of that as well, Miss T. I was looking at, because there are some planets that there's a particular planet that is just water.
Yeah.
It is a water planet through and through. There's another one that I remember. What it did was, like how we have wind here? Their wind is just glass.
Yeah.
Flying sideways.
Yeah.
Flying glass. Flying sideways.
No, it was really interesting.
Different planets with different types of atmosphere.
Yes,
it's really interesting.
Of course,
it was interesting, but like I said, it just made me feel like it's just like when they go into the Amazon.
Yeah.
Leave the people them alone. They've been there for how long? They ain't got no microwave, no nothing. They're good.
That's good.
Leave them alone.
This is it. But the thing is, when they go to, maybe they may find that or feel that they found one, but the inhabitants, when the inhabitants actually find them, the inhabitants might not be as loving, as welcoming as us.
Exactly. Because what they're going to see is you're not just coming. This is not a spiritual awakening or you're coming to take. You're coming to invade. You're coming to exploit. You're not coming. You're not coming with love
and destroy.
No, you're not.
To destroy.
And you're actually showing a contempt for the one that created you and gave you, you're showing a contempt. Because you know these mad scientists in their laboratories doing whatever ungodly things they're doing, you think, look at you, right? You go in a laboratory and interfering with sperm and egg, to do what you're doing, right? And the rest of the mammals on the earth show you we don't need to do that to show you that when the male and female come together, the female carries, and so it got, right? But you human beings want to try and do what no other creation is doing.
Can do. Thank you. Just
earth,
yeah.
You're doing that behavior. So what differently are you going to do elsewhere?
Exactly. What are they going to do? They're going to do the exact same thing. You know what? It's my daughter's birthday, so I happened to be in a jeweler shop just on Saturday, and I looked up. There's a big old sign, and the sign said, "Laboratory made diamonds."
Made diamonds.
Laboratory mined diamonds. I actually took a photograph of laboratory mined diamonds.
I wonder what that means.
It means the diamond is grown in a laboratory.
What?
Right.
How natural is that?
That's right.
How natural is that? The food that we're eating, it's synthetic.
Of course it is.
Do you understand? The walk down to the water that people them are dishing out to you is polluted, and they know it's polluted. The sewage. You dump water in. All right, when you're in the toilet and you do your number twos, that water is going where?
Straight into the streams.
It's been dumped. And then you wonder why people are coming out with ailments, what they call it? What's the skin thing?
Scabies.
But I'm saying eczema or cirrhosis or whatever. There's so many different. No, but seriously, it's affecting us. The water, the food, the lands that we're on.
You just have to cross the River Thames and see how dirty it is.
Oh, yes.
Bloody hell, you get a bus going over that river bridges. It's raw. What survives in there?
Yeah.
Do you know,
I've even been on one of those river boats. The river boats along the Thames. Sorry, medical. Yeah, and you know what? It's nice. You're on the boat. You're going on the river, but you have to close your eyes and think to yourself, "I'm in the Caribbean," because when you look down into that water, you want to get off the boat.
That's right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But you know what? Creating a new world. Yeah. My vision is a world where cultural differences are not just recognized, but they're deeply respected. Where individual uniquenesses are celebrated, and diversity is the heart of a thriving community. A new world where food, resources, basic necessities, free for all. Everyone just going about doing what needs to be done to have a roof over your head, to nourish your body, i.e. food wise, spiritual wise, physical wise, where the planet is like the bounty shared equally. We are all equals. Everyone plays a part in creating, maintaining, improving, sustaining. That's my idea of creating a new earth, because we always say, it's not the world, it's the people on it. And when we say the people on it, the ones with the power that are controlling everything. Do you understand? So if we were to create a new earth where no one's got to pay for anything. We all muck in, food wise. You're rearing your cattle, you're growing your food, you're nurturing the land, you're spiritual, there's no crime. It's just peace, love and harmony. Can you imagine a world like that? Can you imagine? Peace.
It's interesting.
Peace. So radical, love. Go on.
It's interesting because what I think about is all the points that was made about what's going wrong and what is wrong, and the question about responsibility. And I think about, why am I here on this planet? What's my purpose in terms of why is man put on earth? And because it's like the points that was made, the true points that are made are all about, most of it is of course about the wickedness. So where's the goodness? And I think that's the responsibility that I think about. I'm not saying that anybody else isn't, but when I look at the question for myself, is why am I here? Is it to have a family? Is it to work? Is it to make money? Is it to... And it could be those things, but first and foremost is to accept my responsibility of taking care of this planet. That's my very first thing. That's man's job, is to take care of the earth. And until we start understanding that, we'll just end up doing the same thing.
Exactly, you're so right. You love the earth, the earth is going to love you back.
Right, exactly. And that's why I think that my responsibility is preparing, really. I think now in this present time, it's doing my best to practice good principles of being, the sense of being on this planet Earth, and pass it on to my children and whoever I can, until the Creator decides it's enough, that we've done enough, and now it can change. And in between that time, I really do think there's going to be a lot of turbulence that takes place, and I think it's about us preparing for that. I think that part of what Miss T was saying about living in peace, diversity, everybody in harmony with each other, I think those of us who agree that that's what we want, we'll be doing it now, but kind of locking down at the same time, because there's gonna be a big rapture. It's gonna happen. And the scientists and the people that Funmilola was talking about, who are researching and measuring the climate change, etc., they're now starting to say we can't save it. They can't save it. And I think that's a frightening awareness, because there are people who are using the planet as an excuse. I would call it an excuse to say, well, if I look after the planet, if I make sure that there's more trees, the animals are becoming less extinct, and that we go through the sea and draw out all the plastic, then the earth will just correct itself. It will be all right. No, it's not going to go like that, because it's not about the earth's behavior, it's about our behavior. So if we don't want to correct our behavior, we're not going to get away with it.
Of course not.
So, when we realize that we can no longer make the excuse, and people can't find any more excuses but look within their own behavior, that's the most frightening thing for many people. And I think most of us are frightened by it. Some of us are not. Some of us will go within. And I think that's where our work comes in in terms of the healing and the repair, is to let people know, but also warn people it's not just about living a good life and going to work and feeling less
look
stress.
at the bigger picture, really.
It's the bigger picture of what do you think about living on this planet? Are you going to continue doing this or that? There's the efficacy and the ethics of how we live.
Of course.
And then hopefully we'll be able to raise our vibration so that when the doo-doo does come, it misses us. People wonder, how did I survive that?
You know, I'll just say COVID. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, third world countries, as you want to call it, but they survived COVID. Sorry.
Right.
And most of those third world countries, melanated people. Sorry, but I'm going to say it. They survived it.
Yeah.
And all this warfare, you see that type of behavior, it's always the worst aspect. You know, like humans again, you can be in combat, traditional people learn certain types of martial arts or right, where you're not so destructive in your combat. When you're designing nuclear weapons,
well, this is it, Umar. When you
have to ask yourself the question, wait a minute, what really is your intention when you're doing that? You know what I mean?
Thank you.
You know, mass destruction. Because like you said, if you want to call it the third world countries, whoever, they were fighting on the ground, kick you down because they got martial arts and all them kind of stuff there. On the other side of things, you've got, like you say, them nuclear bombs. Was it Hiroshima? Them kind of things. They're built to wipe out, not a little area. They're built to wipe out entire countries. What happened to humanity? The soldiers are not just fighting soldiers; it's innocent people. And I'm talking generations, you know, from the granny right down to the great grandchild that have been obliterated. It's the worst. It's the worst. If you want to see the worst manifestation of human beings, is that destruction, whether it's domestically in a home, right? What wickedness to that level where you want to wipe out not just the humans in that nation, but all the ecosystem and all the left behind trail of destruction that your bombs and weapons are doing. You've got no respect.
So we're approaching the top of the hour now, when we're going to go into the advert break, and in the second half of the show we invite you to experience some of our mix and blend music selections. Give thanks.
It's all about the Health and Healing Hub experience each and every Saturday on your favorite station between the hours of 2 and 4. ContrastRadio.net.